All right, well, let's get into the speaker. I'm going to bring up a man here to introduce our speaker, but I am really looking forward to hearing his story. And by the way, he happens to be the father of the speaker. He's also videotaping his son talk. So if you don't want to break your anonymity, don't walk behind you. I don't think anybody has a problem with doing that. So anyway, with that, I'll ask Mike F. to come up here and introduce our speaker.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Mike.
It's really a pleasure to introduce my son Robert here tonight. I had the dubious pleasure of meeting him 17 years ago when I was dating his mother, and unfortunately that didn't work out, or fortunately as the case may be, but I was able to keep custody of Rob, and he has turned into my best friend and my son, and even took on my name a few years ago, and I never even adopted him. He just wanted to be a Ferguson over what he used to be. And like I said, he's truly been a pleasure to know for the last 17 years, and I'm sure those of you who have met him already like him. 4 years ago, he ran around the campsite telling everybody that I was going to speak tonight at the speaker meeting, and build everybody up for what was probably a disappointing speaker. So the last couple of days, he's been telling everybody that he gets to do it this time, and I'm sure he's going to do great tonight. So with no further introduction, Robert.
Hey everyone, my name is Robert and I am an alcoholic.
Hey Robert!
And I'm going to tell you what it's like, what happened. Well, sorry. No, what happened. Oh yeah, this one. What it's like now, what happened. All right.
Good enough.
Yeah. All right. I'm from New York, Long Island.
Yay.
And I lived in Virginia Beach my whole life. And lived with a single mom. And lived in the Palms Apartments. And saw what it was like, you know, saw her drink, saw her trash to the floor, and I never thought it was gonna happen. And I hate this thing. Man, it's messing me up. I don't like tonight now. I'm trying to breathe. Alright. Where was I? Oh, this song here.
Palm Apartments.
Yeah, Palms Apartments, and I was always picked on when I was a kid. I was picked on, bullied, and never liked it. I was always a good kid, and I was in elementary school all the way to high school, and why did this happen?
Breathe, man. We're all family. We love you, Robert.
Yay!
You got it.
Alright, I'm gonna start all over. This didn't work out. My name is Robert. I'm sorry. My name is Robert, and I am an alcoholic. And from New York, Long Island. And I was born and raised there, but didn't know too much about that. Living in New York, but I lived in Virginia pretty much my whole life with a single mom, and I saw what it was like, you know, what happened. And then back in '93, she joined sobriety, and I was going to meetings with her, but I didn't know it at the time. And I was always chasing the sugar water, you know, donuts, you know, that was always the thing. And that was my craving, always sugar. And Right, and then I always saw her pick up a drink. And I was like, that's not gonna be me. She always chasing men around, and I thought chasing women was good, you know? And I followed that, you know? And then my grandparents, they were good people, and they always helped us out. And they had money, they had everything. And they always was there for me. They were always there for my brothers. And eventually, we moved out of the Palms and moved in with them. My grandma took care of us. She fed me good. And I always loved to eat because that was my thing. And she took us to school, went to church. I was a Catholic. And man, it was nice. But then I started falling down on the church thing. Church wasn't working out for me. I was always sleeping in church. Anybody else slept, I did. And she would hate that. And she thought we were going to become good Catholics. But no, it never happened. And so I almost graduated from Lynn Haven Middle School. I went to school there for 3 years, and I didn't finish graduating. I was close. I didn't go to the graduation. But then something changed in my life, and we moved out. I met a new guy in my life. And it was hard trying to love a guy in my life because I never had a dad. And just everything just changed. But I made mistakes in my life going to high school. I want to tell you some stories. But the stories you're going to hear tonight are real. And just know in my 9th grade, my freshman year, I didn't talk to anybody. I never talked because I was a shy kid. Never loved anyone, didn't care. I just wanted to finish school and get out. And I wasn't always angry. And then I finished high school, and everything just started happening. I was trying to get high a little bit now and then. And I never was in that. 18. I started drinking a little bit. This is what happened after Pizza Hut one night. I saw some friends, and they were like behind the fence. And I was like, all right. They were drinking Mad Dog. And man, that was good. And I didn't have a car, never driven. And I went there trying to ride a bicycle. And I thought these were my friends. And then after that, I tried to ride home drunk on a bike. But that did not work out too well. So they gave me a ride. So we walked. And I walked a little while with them. I drank a lot of wine. Whatever they had, I drank. And so then I got a ride home. I went back to Pizza Hut. Then I went back, then I tried to hide it, tried to jump when I went home. Nobody was up. So I was very blessed. I didn't want to get in trouble. I was always scared, you know, but then I didn't really drink after that. Then when I was 21, I started heavy. But not too, I stepped over someone's house. I was sleeping over my friend's house when I was 21. And man, it was great. We went to Applebee's. Did I get trashed? And I did on my 21st birthday. And it was a time. I was like, yes, this is great. And man. And then the year after that, I went back to their house, got really trashed, and got high. Really trashed. Puking. Man. And then And then after that, life was going for me, you know, still living it with my stepdad. I was still drinking, and the drinking was still going. I was hiding the 40s, and I was mostly drinking 2 of those every night. And when they were gone to cruises, and my mom, and I enjoyed it. We had parties at the house, and I never thought we were going to steal anything. And we were stealing. My brother stole from me, and it was not good. And I was drinking Steel Reserves, drinking Mad Dog, and mostly beer. You know, that was my thing. And well, they were gone. And then we had another party, and this time my stepbrother was there. I drank a lot, and he came over. I remember eating green Doritos and drinking, and I puked green Doritos. Man, that was not good at all. and then, you know, I was still living there, you know, back in, and then my brothers were still there. They were mostly potheads. And and one day, me and my brother, right? At the time, we weren't living together. And I took my brother to a party. And he moved out at the time. And it's my brother DJ. And I took him he took me to, we were getting drunk because it was his 21st. And we went to a party in Hampton. And we waited for this person for a little while, walking around. It was crazy. And then later that night, we went to the party. And the party did not last for me. I drank so much freaking liquor by the cup. I always keep chugging and chucking liquor. What, peppermint schnapps, whatever it was good. I didn't care. I just kept chugging. I didn't eat nothing the whole day. And I crashed that night. Somebody dragged me, lost my wallet. That was horrible. And that's when I worked at Farm Fresh. And I had to go to work that day. But lucky, I didn't have to work the morning shift. As I got up that day, feeling the worst hangover of my life. And went to McDonald's, where I used to work. Got a cheeseburger and a Coke. Did I finish that cheeseburger? No. I finished the Coke. I said, I'm going home, going back to sleep. So I did. That was miserable. And that's when my Farm Fresh days were fun, because I met somebody that was married. I'll talk to you about that. And that was the great time of my life, because I never had a girlfriend, and I thought married women were nice. They were good looking, pretty, and so we ended up talking at Farm Fresh a lot. I didn't really talk to anybody there, just did my job. So we started hitting off. She was a cash register, and I was a bag boy. And man, it was fun talking to her. And then we started talking a lot. And then I went to Vegas that day. I went to Las Vegas, left my cell phone at the house. I met some people on the cruise. I'll get back to that later. But I left my phone, and that sucked because I kept thinking about her the whole time. Was drinking the whole time in Vegas, was living a dream. And then went back home. I stayed there for 5 days in Vegas. It was a great time. Went back home, started talking again. She got to meet my mom, my dad. But did that work out? No. My mom cussed me out. It was like, I'm sorry. This happens. It happens. And I didn't know what to say. But, we kept on going back to each other's house. 5 in the morning, 3. So I go back to her house. She hit it off at my house. But, it was dangerous, and I knew that. But I did it to myself. And then things didn't work out afterwards. Didn't no longer last. And I was sad. I wanted to kill myself. But I kept drinking and drinking. And so I said, maybe this is it. I'm not going to meet the girl of my life. But I wish that sometimes, but I try not to. And but then she left, and that was it. And but anyway, life is really good today. I go on a lot of cruises, and got a good stepdad, and I could go back to this one because I remember when we were drinking. I'm going to say something funny. We were drinking. My mom was at the dinner table. Actually, it was my dad and his dad. They went on a cruise. And so we ended up drinking that whole time. And I don't remember too much about that. We were playing food fight on Thanksgiving. I was working at Farm Fresh. I was getting 12 packs of Molson Ice. That was my favorite too. And just kept drinking those and other beers. They were good cold, I didn't care. 3 12 packs a day, felt great. And then I met my mom's brother. He was a crazy alcoholic, born and raised in New York, Long Island. I don't like anybody there, except for one aunt I love. Everyone else I left because they treated me bad and they disowned me. So after that, they disowned me because my grandma passed away. 2 separate parts. And they both were good people. Like I said, they lived their good life, 80 and 90. No grandmother lives that long now these days. But they lived a happy life. They were married for years. Grandpa bought me food, make me happy. He was like, you ever gonna meet the girl of your dreams? Not yet. He wanted me to always be meeting somebody, but it didn't happen. But he made me happy. He got to see me sober. He saw me sober for 3 years. And that was amazing. Because I remember going to his house drunk. And nobody liked that. But I did it. So I thought that was the way to live. Being all crazy, starting fights, getting yelled at. That was my dream. My mom always yelled at people, angry, cussing at everybody, dropping to the floor. Man, that was nuts. And I thought that was the way to live. And then eventually I moved out of my stepdad's house. This was back in 06. They were getting divorced. And I didn't care anymore. I wanted to start more drinking. But those people were miserable. I drank for the whole year, locked in my house, by myself, in my room, trying to look on websites for girls. I was always on MySpace. That was just craziness. But I love Facebook today. None of that. But 1 year, I decided, so I never had a license. And 1 year, a year ago, that year, I decided to drive my scooter, drunk, high on Freon. It was bad. So, I was going straight all the way down Lynn Haven. Laguerre, I I passed that stop sign on Laguerre, had a parked car going 30. I was heading for more beer, but it didn't happen that night. That night messed me up. But lucky someone said, "You alright?" That's all I remember. So I hopped back on my bike that was wrecked. Lucky I didn't go to jail or prison. That would have been the worst day of my life. And so I hopped on, went back to Pizza Hut, where that was my old full-time job. And I used to love it there, but not anymore. And so this girl manager I had, she bandaged me up. She took care of me. And I was shaking like a leaf. I was in shock. And I wanted to drive my bike back home. But my roommates were mad at me. But they took me home. They took away my drink. I was like, "No, don't take away my drink." That's how angry I was. And so that night, I prayed. I went back to my room and cried. I had to call my friend. I didn't know what to do. I cried and cried. It was my best friend since high school. He never picked up a drink. That's amazing. And I never thought of that. And so I called him. And I was like, "God, please help me." So I ended up that morning, all right, I waited to go to work. So I walked to work. That was about a mile walk. About a mile, I'm guessing. But it was a pretty decent walk. But then I saw it was God. He looked up at me. And I saw my dad. And I was like, he gave me a ride to work. And I was scared to say something. I had tears coming out. It's like, "Dad, I fucked up. My fingertips were all busted up." And then for now, he said to me, "I can help you with your alcohol problem." And I was like, "You can?" And I was like, "Yes, I need to get away from alcohol." So I stopped for 4 months. He said he didn't say I had to stop drinking, but I did. I can't drink at the house. So I stopped for 4 months. I walked to Pizza Hut for a while till I got back on a bike. And that sucked, walking every day. And so for 4 months I didn't drink. Then that night I was like, I'm going over a friend's house. And I said to myself, I'm going to drink again. I should pick up a drink after 4 months. I'm doing good. Maybe a 12-pack might help. And so I was like, yes, I'm going to go to my friend's house and drink. So I did. I spent the night. That was good. But I ended up having thoughts about drinking and driving on my scooter. And I was like, I don't want this life anymore. And then I went back to my dad's house. I was like, maybe it's time to go to meetings. And this is it. So a roommate of mine, he was a great guy. And I loved him to death. He always looked out for me for a ride. He was always there. Richard Beaudry, he was a good guy. And a good roommate. He was quiet. And talked to him all the time. He got me into those meetings. And on my first day, I went to New Day. Sat kind of in the middle. I like sitting in the middle. And I didn't pick up a white chip, but I was thinking, because everybody was sharing. But I didn't know if I really wanted it, You had thoughts. What is this person talking about? I don't know. I don't want what he has. But then some reason someone said, keep coming back. And I really did. And all the old timers told me, some of the old timers went out. And I stayed. Because life was ups and downs. But I really wanted recovery. And I got a good sponsor today. And I had him ever since 2 months. And my sponsor's great to me. I got the steps. I try to work this program one day at a time. And it doesn't matter how much time you have. All it is one day at a time. And I hope to keep coming back, you know. And I remember, I want to tell you this. One day I was with my sponsor. We went to Norfolk. And I wanted to share about this. We went to Norfolk because he was speaking. And me, I was so tired. I didn't know how to stay awake. I wasn't early on. I was like, oh, what's he talking about? I don't want to listen anymore. So I ended up sleeping. I fell asleep on him. That was just, I don't know why that happened. It just happened. I was tired that day, I guess. And then I started this program. And since July 26 of 08, 5 years today. And I never once thought of that. It would ever happen. Yeah, and that's my story. I'm glad you guys heard it. I was a little nervous. I didn't think of that, but I enjoyed it. Thanks.
Good job, brother.
Yeah, if I remember right, you were in your first year, the first camp out
Yes,
you
he
came
was.
to, right?
Yes, he
And
was.
that's pretty amazing that, pretty much all of Robert's recovery includes a camp out every year, right here. So, pretty amazing. Okay.